we have reached the halfway point. Whew. Okay. Highlight this past week. I am going to go with the fact that I reorganized a whiteboard that I have, and that sounds kind of ridiculous, but it felt so much better. It's one of those things where organization, I feel like we don't always make time to do, but it there was a lot of scribbly notes and a mess on this whiteboard, and I took a picture and erased it and reorganized it into like lists so it'd be easier to see and for me to make notes on and communicate stuff and list and erase and use it better. I love a good whiteboard, but it was not being used the best that it could be. And so I redid it and made it beautiful. And it made me really happy, and it was more useful, and was so worth it. So yay, organized whiteboard. Low light. I think that I had mentioned previously where I had a big list that I then chose to separate into smaller course to-do lists, and that was super helpful. However, it's not shocking, but I really realized, it was brought to my attention that I still avoid certain things that you just like don't really want to do. That probably won't change, but I think that, again, without having to force myself to utilize external deadlines, sort of self-imposing some deadlines. So in the vein of school, I was avoiding some stuff because I had options within my mini to-do lists. And sometimes there's something that's more pressing, like a midterm or a project. So I think that in my low light of putting certain things off again and again, that moving forward this next coming week, I would probably need to like highlight my midterm project in one or two of my to-do lists that I have just been avoiding and doing all the other things, so I wouldn't have to do this one thing, even though it's important. So I guess low light was just the fact that I still avoid things, and that's just a human thing, but it being really in front of my face and hard to avoid, noticing that I was doing that actively. What have I learned? A couple things. First one being, I talked about having alarms, which are very helpful, so I don't have to keep an eye on the clock and I can focus. But I had a 5-minute warning alarm, and then class start time, and then a class end time, and I've realized that the 5 minutes was not the most useful to me. So I made, regardless of my passing period, whenever the next class was going to start, I gave myself a 10-minute warning, and then it rang again when class was going to start and then end. And the 10 minutes gives me just a little bit more time to not just prepare for whatever I'm doing next, but finish up whatever I'm doing if I had a passing period and I was, I don't know, taking a break, or if I was catching up on something else, to wrap that up a little bit more versus feeling frantic. So giving myself a little more time as a heads up before things start was one thing. And then another thing that I sort of learned and realized was that the grown-up school of your dreams is something that has resonated with more people than I thought. A couple people, I talked to people about this before, and I know that in setting this up, and I know that people had commented in some of my stories and stuff like that, with just their interest in seeing how it would go, and like, this sounds fun. But 3.5 weeks in, that's still happening, with people getting inspired to try something or wanting to talk about how I figured it out. And it has made me intrigued enough to maybe pursue something with that. Just that I did this for me, as a way to reframe things and make it something that I could understand and function within, but recognizing that that is something that a lot of people might be looking for, and that it can motivate others as well. Not just to like specifically join me, but do a version of it for themselves. And I guess that sort of surprises me, but if that helps people, that's awesome. And I hope that maybe I can chat with some of them to see if I can help figure out how they could do their grown-up school of their dreams. But yeah, that's just been really a cool part of this process that I didn't necessarily expect, at least in such a meaningful way to other people. Like, I knew, like, oh, like, it sounds cool and fun, but a lot of times that's just the end of it. But people seem relatively invested in this journey of mine and with me, or for themselves in a parallel school universe or something. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Second half of summer session is starting tomorrow. It's gonna be great. We'll see.